Welcome to today's show on JTV. We're brought to you by the Insurance Circle Agency. David Royce, good to have you with us. That's Adam. Hello, Adam.
Hey, man. Happy Monday. We're doing it all over again.
It feels like a Monday. I'll be honest.
We are all just lagging behind right now. But
it was a great weekend,
yeah,
though.
Happy to be here.
The Packers won, the Lions won, and Michigan won.
Two of those are awesome. Two of those are awesome.
One of them may not be awesome for everybody else, but it was a pretty convincing, easy win.
And you said it was awesome that the Lions win, so I will take that.
Well, I just wanted to please everybody.
Yeah, well,
I'm not happy they won.
Oh, okay.
I thought Marvin Harrison had a great touchdown at the start of the game, and then
I think there was a better touchdown in that game. I think that Amon-Ra gives, which we'll talk about later. That was a crazy, crazy play.
But we do have a packed show, so let's get right into it. Of course, later we'll have the Potocki Orthodontics top 5 plays from Leslie Michigan Center. But week 4 high school football, we'll start out with a big one. Grass Lake held East Jackson to less than 50 yards of offense on Friday as Braden Lape and the Warriors roll 70-0 on Friday over East Jackson. Braden Lape was only 3 of 3 passing for 97 yards and 3 touchdowns. Why can't Alex Orgy have that kind of stat line? Who cares? We were talking about it before the show. If he throws 3 times, great. But anyways,
well, yeah. But I think if Michigan was against East Jackson, I think that score would probably be the same. But yeah, I don't think he would have to pass the ball. But yeah, he had a tremendous. They had a tremendous game, and Lape still 3 for 3 passing. I mean, he didn't have to do much that game, but they were able to just run it and just absolutely dominate.
You can watch highlights from that game, full game highlights on JTV.tv. Things aren't getting any easier for the Trojans. They host Michigan Center this week.
Yikes.
And Grass Lake travels to Napoleon. We will be there. More on that later in the show. Western had their first loss of the year, a big I-8 loss to Hastings, 37-17. Quarterback Reed Myers returned as the QB1 for Western, finished 171 passing yards. The Panthers travel to Coldwater on Friday. Coldwater lost to Northwest. Northwest, the Mounties picking up their first win, 24-20. Northwest will go to Marshall. Hanover Horton stays undefeated. They are 4-0, taking on the other Comets from Jonesville. They won 21-18. Jonesville will travel to Addison, and Hanover will celebrate homecoming with a big win against Homer. That's going to be coming Friday. You can pencil that in right now. Jackson over Pinckney, 18-7. The Vikings are 4-0 for the first time under head coach Antonio Parker, and the first time 4-0 since 2018. And want to know what the record was that year, 2018?
Yeah, what do you got?
Undefeated.
They went undefeated in 2018? Wow.
Yep. So Jackson travels. They should win this one, too. They'll play Ypsi Community on Friday. Stay safe if you're going to Ypsi Community. Lumen got a big win over U of D. Jesuit, their star running back, Dale Williams, returned on Friday for the Titans, 222 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns in a big league win, 42-13. Crowley, 10 of 16 for 141. Another big league game for the Titans. They'll take on Dearborn Divine Child, 7 o'clock on Friday night. I've mentioned Northwest. Manchester getting a big win at home, a battle of 2 T offenses out at Manchester. Big win over Napoleon, 36-14. A battle of I guess you could call it the Navies, right? The Flying Dutchman against the Pirates. Manchester led 22-14 at halftime and shut out the Pirates in the second half. Of course, Manchester ran for 264 yards in the contest. Manchester will go to Leslie. That is the biggest game in the Cascades Conference so far this year. We just watched Leslie, and those are 2 of the 3 teams that are 4-0 in the Cascades East. So one of those 3 deciding games are this week.
And I'm very impressed by Leslie. I thought they did great. They looked dominant in that game.
It was a close game. I was a little nervous, but they showed up and they got the win.
It was one of those games where I felt like it was never, and I know we'll talk about this game, but it was like never in trouble. Like I felt like they kind of were in control the whole time. Sure, it got close towards the end, but Leslie kind of still was in the driver's seat at the end.
But Manchester was their homecoming, and they won 36-14. We talked with head coach Josh Lindemann on their homecoming victory. Let's take a look.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you get an opportunity to play against Napoleon, they're great coaches. You know, I have a ton of respect for Derek Shell and Tom Johns and what they do over there. So we knew it was going to be a dogfight. And what we're trying to instill in this program is that we embrace those games. You know, we want to play in games like this that are 48 minutes of just violent football. And I think our kids did a great job with it tonight. I think it comes down to just we made really good adjustments, and our kids believe in the adjustments. You know, I have a phenomenal young defensive coordinator, and this is the 4th straight game where we haven't given up a point in the second half, and that's all because of his adjustments and what he tells them at halftime and what he gets them to buy into and move a little bit and a little bit adjustment on his down and distance calls, and he just does a really good job. And it really goes back to these kids in this community. You know, they're really starting to buy into our violent version of football that we're trying to play. We talk about the idea that, you know, we protect this community, and we're the tip of the spear for this community. It's what people see, and we want to be the tip of the spear, and, you know, we want to be engaged in games like this in front of crowds like that. The community's great. I'm happy to be here. The kids are happy to play, and it's football season, man. We love it.
Picking up here on week 4, Columbia Central, a game that I was at. This was a big shocker. 38-8 Columbia over Addison. The Golden Eagles earned their first win of the season Friday. Boston Pilazinski finished with 158 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns for Columbia. 2 touchdowns, 179 yards for quarterback Nick Richardson. Addison will go to Jonesville, and Columbia will go to Vandercook on Friday. Great for Columbia Central, you know, coming in. Last week on the Picks Wednesday, I said Addison was the heavy favorite, and they were on paper coming into the game. But just right from the start, Addison had 3 fumbles, 2 of them recovered, and Columbia only threw 1 pick. So I was talking with Coach Zaborowski on the field before the game, and I said, I know you guys are 0-3, but 2 of them have been, you know, really close. What's going to have to change come into tonight and beat a really good Addison team that's competing for the West? And he said, well, we can't turn the ball over. We have to play smart football, and we're going to run the football, and we're going to do it well, hopefully do it well, and that's exactly what they did. So Columbia, 38-8. Again, you can watch more highlights online at jtv.tv and on our Facebook. That one was actually in a lightning delay. I remember we were all texting when you guys were at center.
That's right. We were in a delay ourselves around this. Or actually, you know what? You had the lightning delay, and I think
later on.
Yeah, and I think we were starting our second half when you had the lightning delay in the 4th quarter.
And we had like only 6 or 7 minutes left.
That's right.
But big win for Columbia, 38-8. 8-man action. Britton Deerfield, I picked them. They rolled over Concord 54-8. Springport over Stockbridge 41-36. I don't know how they finished the game, but at the start of the second half, the lights went out in Stockbridge. Homer doesn't even have lights, so Stockbridge should be grateful that they even have some there. But Springport 4-0 under Coach Ben Pack. They will go to the metropolis of Quincy on Friday. Vandercook dropped 1 to Homer, and Hillsdale dropped big to Ida. And we'll wrap up week 4 with our live game on JTV. I was not there, but Adam, you and the crew were there. 33-31, Michigan Center. Of course, we have some highlights here. The Blackhawks earned a Cascades win on the road Friday. It was a homecoming spoiler for them, too. Cranmore had another exceptional game, 129 yards, 2 scores. He even rushed for a few yards. Now, I know the score didn't look like Leslie, like you mentioned, had control the whole time, but what did you see from this game?
You know, I felt like Leslie, man, they are so good at passing the football. They're so dominant, just moving down the field. They can turn a drive that's starting at their own 10 and in 3 plays,
and they're
take
on
the opposing 10. Yeah, you know, so it's just they're really good. Quarterback's very patient, definitely doesn't have a problem sitting in the pocket to find his guy open. You can tell that that's what they practice, but Michigan Center, though, man, at times was countering that and was just going out there, and they were throwing the ball deep. They had a couple wide open plays, and we'll talk about a couple of these plays that they had, but they had a couple wide open bombs that they were able to get into the end zone. So Michigan Center was able to kind of hang around with them, even though I felt like Leslie was kind of one step up in terms of competition.
Right.
Score looked pretty close at the end, but ultimately I think kind of Leslie had control of that thing.
And it did come down to that last play on 4th and 10. We'll get to that in our top plays, but 40 seconds left. And I think another difference too, and I'm not sure if Josh and Pat mentioned it, I'm sure they did, but turnovers were a big thing too. Because even though it was a 2-point game, it didn't feel like it, and even the momentum didn't feel like it either, just by watching the highlights, because in that second quarter, Center on that 3rd down had the really high pass the receiver couldn't get.
Mm-hmm.
That's a 3 and out. I think it was forward, number 1. He was running with the ball open down the sideline, and the ball just slipped out of his hands.
It literally just flew out of his hands. And, dude, it couldn't have been more perfect. It went right into the Leslie player's hands. Like, it was just perfect right to him.
I'll take that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
seriously.
And I think Center had another interception and another fumble, and, of course, the scary injury for them, too. And they ended up losing 2 linemen in Michigan Center. So overall,
definitely didn't help them. I can tell you that.
Right. Tough night for them. They're already on their backup quarterback, and now they lost 2 starting experienced offensive linemen. So Michigan Center now 1-3.
They're so much better than that record, though. I'm just going to say they are so much better than that record. Look at the competition that they've had to face. Staying with Lumen Christie for the time that they did, Leslie hanging with them. They had a chance to really, a couple things would have changed. They could have won that game. So
well, they're better than 1-3.
Oh, 100%.
And they have the talent, but they just only 2 of those games though were close.
Yeah,
another one. I mean,
Lumen,
it was close. It was 14-6, but that just was not a good game.
Right.
And then the other game, they just got hustled by Hanover.
Yeah, and then the Lumen game, sure, it was a blowout, but the scoreboard shows a blowout. But that first half, if you can hang out with Lumen,
that was a competitive football game. The first half.
It was. So I think, like you said, like I said, a lot better than their record suggests. Almost like their record should be like 3-1 based on how good that they've played. But they have made mistakes. If they can clean up that football, they can go on a hot streak here to close out the season, and we might be seeing more of them.
But I think, and I agree with you, but I think their hot streak will only reach a certain point because they still have those injuries. This is a team, when they get later to the year, that's when you really need all your guys to come back. But right now they're starting to get into the middle of the season, week 4 or 5, and you lose 2 offensive linemen. And Collins now will be the quarterback the rest of the way with Hinkle hurt.
Right, so that doesn't help either. So, a lot of injuries that they're dealing with. I mean, if you had to take a guess, how many wins do you think they're going to escape with only one right now?
Center still has Napoleon, Grass Lake, and Manchester on the schedule.
Those are tough games.
Those are.
Those aren't easy games. Not like that's a guaranteed win. Those are competitive.
They have 5 games left, 4, and then the crossover. So out of 4, I think so. I'll give them 1, but the way they look right now, I don't think they're going to beat Napoleon or Grass Lake or Manchester.
I think Grass Lake is kind of firing on all cylinders, so I think that's going to be a tough game. And I love the way Napoleon plays this game, so it's just like I think Napoleon will have the edge.
We're not completely downing Michigan Center for those watching. They have the talent.
We keep saying they're a great team.
It's a tough spot they're in right now. So I think, on paper, at this second, I think they finish 2-6.
If you want to relate them
going into week 9,
sure. If you want to relate them to like an NFL team, I would say like it's almost like the Baltimore Ravens, where it's like they're 1-2, but they're a lot better team than the 1-2 suggests. It's just the situations of the people that they've played and the games they've been in. But man, really, really hope Michigan Center can get rid of this injury bug and can start winning some football games.
Yeah, the Leslie defense finished with 4 takeaways, so that was the ultimate difference in the game. And of course, that last stop at the end. And Cranmore, he's just a sophomore, by the way.
Fantastic.
He is continuing to play excellent.
Yeah.
And even Coach McCann said it post game. Coming in, that's what people were talking about. This was our first big test because we'd only played Homer and Vandercook and Stockbridge before this, and we come in here and take care of business, spoil their homecoming on the road, and get a big win. And now Leslie will host Manchester in the biggest game of the conference overall so far this year on Friday. And between Leslie and Manchester, whoever wins that game, because I do think Grass Lake will beat Napoleon. I think it'll be a good game, but I think they'll take care of business and beat Napoleon Friday. So whoever wins Leslie or Manchester when they play Grass Lake, that'll be like the Cascades East Championship winner will. Right now, Hanover's running away with the West because the other 5 teams are Columbia. They just won, but they're still 1-3. Homer, Vandercook, Jonesville. So that's 4. Addison. After Hanover, Addison would be second. So right now it's looking like Hanover and either Leslie or Manchester for the Cascades title game, and then Grass Lake that first team out. So it's going to come right down to week 9 for most teams in this conference. So, again, a shout out to Northwest picking up their first win. They needed that. It was a great win for Coach Newsome because they had a couple blowouts and then a couple other games were closer that they should have won. They should be 2-2 or 3-1. So great win for Northwest here. So. And again, you can watch highlights from Leslie Center, Columbia Addison, Manchester Napoleon, Grass Lake EJ, all of that online at JTV.TV. So multiple delays. You guys had the unfortunate injury, and then later on, I had a lightning delay at Columbia, and every time you see lightning, it's an extra 30 minutes added on.
Yeah.
So after like 2 or 3 times we saw it, it was like, okay, we're delayed an hour. There's only 7 minutes left in the game, so it's like we're going to wait an hour to play the last 7 minutes, and they finished.
That's so crazy. Well, I mean, like our injury delay, and then also the homecoming as well. I got, no joke, I got home after that game midnight by the time I got home.
You only got home at midnight?
I got home at midnight to do like highlights and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, crazy. And,
I thought you guys would have been home later, honestly.
And we got, what ended up happening was like everybody else kind of stayed, and I was just like knowing that we had to get highlights up and everything. So I kind of, the second we were all packed up, they were still doing stuff with the trailer, but I was just like, all right, I got to get out of here and start working on this. So luckily Michigan Center's not too far away from me, so I was able to get right back home and get working on it. But midnight, man, too crazy.
I know.
Never before, that hasn't happened before, but it was just the perfect storm of delays and different things like that.
I don't remember what time I got home. Thankfully, the Michigan game was 3:30. I didn't have to get up again.
Yeah.
Michigan, Minnesota, though, was at noon.
That's cool. It's going to be less traffic. I was driving past. I was going back home to the Detroit area, so I was driving past there when the game was about to get underway. That traffic going to Ann Arbor was insane. But that's USC as well. I think Minnesota might be a little different.
USC actually traveled really well.
But better or less than Texas? Because I felt like Texas is the best traveled fans I've ever seen for college so far. Because that's impressive for how far away Texas is.
I think it was... Well, California's even further.
It is. But do you think it was more? Do you think there were more USC fans?
I think they were slightly less than Texas. Okay. Almost equal, though.
That's crazy. Were you stuck by the band again?
No, I sat in the 2 that you guys sat on the other side. Actually, we sat with some other family friends, so we didn't even use our 2 seats over there at all.
Oh, no kidding.
They had 4 seats, like in row 30-something, so we were actually way down there more.
Nice.
But still, it wasn't a whole, like, other than that little section up top behind where me and Noah sat, where those visiting fans are. Otherwise, there wasn't another big USC section. It was like a couple fans of theirs here and there, but the stripe out ended up being really cool.
Yeah, that did look really sweet. I saw some pictures. That looked really cool.
And if we still have a minute or two, I do want to make quick comments on the Michigan game. We weren't planning on talking about it, but they got the win. Of course, I season ticket holder, all of the above. So I'm glad they won, and they needed this win. If they didn't get this win, they were 2 losses, and they were going to be in the out of the 12-team playoff. They were going to be looking in.
I didn't think they were going to win. Like going into the game.
No, I didn't.
They played well, so
And they won, and I'm happy they won. And I hate to be negative, but I was negative before we came on. That was a really ugly win. We really didn't deserve to win that game, and we can't win a bunch of big games in the Big Ten, just in general in college football, and only have 32 passing yards. Unless if you're Army and you run a wing T offense, you're not winning very many games. Only passing 32 yards. I mean, that's how it is.
I anytime we can get a win against a ranked team, I don't care about how dirty the way. If it was last year, I'd be different because I don't see us as national championship caliber in terms of like I saw us go against Texas. Texas is that team this year, and it's like, but anything can happen once you get into a tournament. But it just kind of like I see that, and it's just like we still got the win, so it's almost like the survive and advance mentality.
Right, and it normally I would agree with it. It's a ranked win. It's good to get the win, but we still play 2 or 3 more teams who are higher ranked and better than USC.
One team in particular that is better than USC that we will be facing at the end of the year. So
I'll be honest. If we're looking at it right now, they're gonna come to Ann Arbor and just beat the what.
It's gonna be in Ann Arbor this year.
I think I'll have to look at it during the break.
I can't remember.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. Here or there.
Yeah.
We're gonna go in there and get destroyed by them. But I'm only concerned though in saying it was not a good win because, it was an ugly win because we still play Oregon, who's better than USC.
It's true.
We still play Penn State, who is arguably as good as USC is, and then we play the team from Ohio.
Right.
So,
right.
And Alex Orji is reminding me now of Lamar Jackson, literally, because the Ravens ran the ball 45 times, and Michigan ran the ball 78 times. Like, we can't win with 32 passing yards. And there were 2 or 3 times Samaj Morgan is open. They showed it on the replay on TV. Samaj Morgan's open 15 yards down the field. He's been spazzing out this year because Orji will not throw the football. And I can't say what I want to say because we're on TV about Sharon Moore. You heard me say it before we went on.
Only if I was rolling.
As even some people behind me were yelling it too.
Oh, I bet they were.
Other things too.
Yeah.
But he needs to open the playbook more is what I mean. We can't go 1st and 10, run up the middle with Edwards, who doesn't even run hard. He's just, if he's going down, he goes down. Mullings is a whole different deal. Mullings had a great game.
I can't let one thing slide that you said.
What's that?
If Alex Orji was like Lamar Jackson, we would not have any of these issues because Lamar Jackson was so ridiculously good in college.
Sorry, I should have said they remind.
I just can't.
It reminds me of the Ravens.
Okay,
just the Ravens.
And that I would say yeah because and you know what's funny, like I know we're gonna get into football and I know we don't have tons of time, but the Ravens, like the way their team is designed, you're right. It's a very much like run first with some pass options later, but Michigan's got to figure a few things out. But if we can get into the tournament, things could change. We just have to. If we can get there, anybody can win that thing. I think this is the first year we're going to see
it. It's got to be the right path though, because
we can get lucky though. You can get lucky in these tournaments,
but
we might not have to face a Georgia, Alabama,
until
Ohio
the
State.
semifinal.
Exactly. So we might be able to get in there, and then anything can happen when you have one game.
I hope we end up with
Tulane.
A Tulane.
That'd be cool.
Or somebody like that, or the AAC conference winner in the first round,
Clemson or whoever it's going to be. I don't even know who it would be at that point.
The ACC. I don't know who's going to win the ACC. Probably
Florida State, maybe. I don't know if
Florida State's 0-4 or 1-3.
No way.
Yeah.
A lot of people were touting them.
After,
I didn't even notice because a lot of people
after that Georgia
them.
Tech loss at LSU, they lost twice.
That's right. Because a lot of people going into the season, that's what I remember. A lot of people going into the season in terms of ACC contenders, like Florida State was towards the top. But yeah, you're right. They had a couple big losses.
And Clemson is in and out of the top 25. Boston College, number 24, who beat Michigan State.
They did.
I think now Boston College is the favorite.
You're right. You're totally right. I would totally go with Boston College there.
And if we have extra time at the end, I do want to dive more into college football. But just they do remind. I just think Sharon Moore needs to open the playbook more, and he needs to take more chances. Because that is That's what Jim Harbaugh and Sharon Moore did in the playoffs last year. Like during the regular
Right.
season, you didn't see Roman Wilson or Corum do a halfback pitch and then throw. Like he pulled out all sorts of tricks in the playoffs and big games. Sharon Moore has to do the same thing here. And so far, he hasn't had the balls to do anything. And that's what we need to do, especially against the team from Columbus.
Let's take a big chance in that game. Let's just be okay with taking big chances. Hopefully, they're going to pay off.
If it doesn't work out, we're not supposed to beat them anyway.
Exactly.
So there you go. All right, when we come back, we'll get to our Potocki Orthodontics top 5 plays of the week here on the show. Stay tuned. Welcome back here on JTV. I'm David Rice. Our show today brought to you by the Insurance Circle Agency. Thanks to Dave Rice. I know it. No relation. No,
no relation.
I'm kidding.
Okay, I was gonna
Thanks to Dave Rice and Susan Baker and everybody at the Circle in Jackson and Battle Creek. And thanks to Potocki Orthodontics, it's time for our top plays of the week. Potocki Orthodontics, a great smile, always in style at Potocki. 3 locations, Grass Lake, Hillsdale, Coldwater. Visit us. Schedule a visit today, PotockiOrtho.com, with their wonderful upbeat team and have your smile your way. Let's get right into it. Number 5, early second quarter, 4:31, Braden Johnson. 2 touchdown receptions for him, number 5 for the Blackhawks right there. 4:30 left in the second quarter. Cranmore connects with Johnson 1 of 2 times in this ball game. And number 4, back to number 5, Braden Johnson for Leslie. Early in the first quarter, 7:26 at number 4. Cranmore again to number 5, Braden Johnson. Johnson had a nice game. Him and Cranmore, that connection for the Blackhawks. And Leslie is now 4-0. And number 3, 5:15 left in the first quarter. Michigan Center, the first of 2 touchdown connections between Trey Collins and number 11, Bodie Atkins.
And this is one of those plays that I thought when it happened early on, it was like when Michigan Center was starting to hang with Lumen. I was like, oh, man.
Here we go.
Yeah, here we go. I was like, if this play can open up, I mean, completely fooled him, faked one way, completely wide open. It was a great play, and at that point, I thought this could be the game changer, you know.
So that is our number 3 play of the week. And number 2, 40 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Now, this wasn't like a spectacular effort or pretty looking kind of play.
But this could have easily been one if one didn't happen. This could have been one with how big of an impact this had on the game. This won the game.
If our number 1 play, didn't happen, this would have been number 1. And if center would have got the first down, they could have spiked the ball, and they actually have a field goal kicker. They could have ran another short out route and kicked a field goal and won.
There was an extra point during that game where it got backed up because I think it was a warning for the bench. So they got backed up pretty far. He drilled it. He could have drilled it for like 10 extra yards out if they wanted to. So he could have made that kick, man.
So with 40 seconds left, Leslie makes the defensive stop to hang on and spoil homecoming at number 2. And our number 1 top play of the week, the very first play of the fourth quarter. Pat O'Dowd had a great call on this, by the way. He gets so excited. Tipped ball from Collins on a deep touchdown pass contested. Tipped off 2 defenders, caught by number 1 and Brennan Forward somehow, and then he somehow kept a foot in to break the plane. It was an unbelievable play.
It's play of the year so far for me. I mean, the second it happened... I just can't think, like when I think back to like our top 5s of the week so far, and we've had some good plays in there. The second that play happened, I was just like, well, that's play of the year at this point.
A close second would be Western's pick 6 that we had.
That was awesome. And that would be, to me, that would be number 2. But this play was one of those plays where we will look back on this play in a couple years and we'll be like, man, that was awesome. Do you remember that crazy catch he had? So yeah, good on him. What a play.
So that's our number 1 play, and that's our top 5 plays of the week, thanks to Potocki Orthodontics. Come visit their wonderful upbeat team and schedule a visit today at PotockiOrtho.com and have your smile your way in Grass Lake, Hillsdale, and Coldwater. When we come back, the Tigers
Go Tigers.
are right there.
Let's
We'll
go.
talk Tigers when we come back. Welcome back here on JTV. I am David Rice. That is Adam. Adam also joined by Siri in the studio too.
My phone or my watch keeps going off. I don't know what's going
You
on.
didn't even say anything.
I didn't say
You
anything,
didn't
and
press
she's still thinking. I don't know what's going on here.
If we hear from her,
That's why.
appreciate her time today.
Yeah.
The Tigers won 4-3 on Sunday at Camden to take 2 of 3, including extra innings on Saturday.
Ooh, man, that was looking scary, but we
And
got
I
the
didn't
win.
watch any of the Tigers, I'll admit, on Saturday because I was in Ann Arbor. But
Sure.
still, I watched some highlights of it back, and I was listening to 97.1 right after the Michigan game, and I forget the name of the dude who was on.
I was going to say, because it wasn't Dan, because he was on the TV broadcast on Saturday, Dan Dickerson. So it wasn't Dan Dickerson. doing
No, the
radio.
guy in the studio talking about the Tigers.
Oh, I got you.
But anyways, he said that was a roller coaster of
This
up
is
and down. And
yeah, but this is the most fun that we have had with the Tigers since you can argue
2016.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy, and the series that we have coming up, we got one big series. Tampa Bay is not. They're not a pushover. They're hunting for a wild card spot, but
Yeah, we still can't just basically say we're cruising.
we can't be like
now.
we're in. We don't want to get too excited. Finally, seeing that we're there, we are,
And we'll still have for sure 3 wins more against the White Sox. So
the more. And I agree with you. It's at home, end of the year. Chicago's the worst team in Major League Baseball. One of the worst teams in MLB history.
if not the worst.
But it's still, baseball's a crazy thing, man. Baseball's a crazy sport. There's so many games for a reason. Anything can happen. But the Tampa Bay series is gigantic. Got to beat Tampa Bay. We beat Tampa Bay. Essentially, we're kicking them out of the playoffs, so they have a lot to play for as well. They're they're 4 games back right now, which is the same as Boston.
Do the Tigers have to win all 3 against Tampa Bay?
I don't
Or
think they have
2?
to win all 3. Here's my other thing that kind of freaks me out. If we're worrying about Kansas City, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say if we take 2 of 3 from Tampa,
yeah,
at that point Tampa's out.
yeah, correct.
They're done.
They would be, yeah.
And I know baseball, anything can happen, but I wouldn't worry too.
I'm not worried about the White Sox.
I wouldn't give 2 you-know-whats about
But
the White Sox.
Here's my thing. Kansas City. I would love to have. We talked about this off air, but just so everybody, I know sometimes the wild card things are kind of complicated. But if we get the better wild card spot, which there are 3, Baltimore's already locked down the first one. If we get the second one, we will be facing Baltimore, which is the series I'd more think I would like. I really don't know
because we
yet.
just beat them like 4 out of 6.
Yeah, we've had a
total,
lot,
so.
and we've been playing well. But the other one would be if we had the worst wild card spot. The third one, it'd be going against probably Houston is what it's looking right now because the
Right.
Guardians and the Yankees have a similar record. So it looks like it'd be Houston. I don't really want to face Houston because they're all going to be on the road. All 3 games would be on the road, so they'd all be in Houston.
Yeah,
There's
I don't
something
want to go
about-
to Houston for 3 straight.
I think we all know what happens there, but AJ Hinch should know about that.
Yeah.
But Kansas City, I didn't talk about this with you. Kansas City's next game, Washington, the other worst team in Major League Baseball, but we got 2 straight home series. They have 2 straight road series because after that they got Atlanta. Atlanta's not going to be easy, so I'm really banking they're going to lose that series in Atlanta. But we might have to watch out for a sweep in Washington. So your question earlier, do we need to sweep Tampa Bay? We might. It's all depending on how Washington plays
minimum
against Kansas
2,
City.
if not sweep.
But Kansas City, the biggest collapse, one of the bigger collapses I've ever seen out of a wild card team. I think 6 or 7 straight losses they've had now. If they lose a game to Washington, they are in deep trouble because I don't know if they get through Atlanta the way they've been playing.
No, and because the way they have been playing, if they lose 1 or more, that'd be hilarious if it was more than 1. But even if they lost 1 game to Washington, there's not a chance you go to Atlanta.
It's tough.
And
the way
win
they've been
that
playing.
series.
If you asked me all year, I liked Kansas City all year. I thought they were going to be I thought they were going to be better than the
about
Guardians.
a week ago.
Up until a week ago, because when I started seeing how they played, they've been playing so bad and we've been taking advantage. Everybody's been taking advantage. So it's great to see how
More for the rest of us.
for sure. This is such a fun end to the season. I can't wait to see what the Tigers do against Tampa Bay, and hopefully they destroy the White Sox as well.
So let's say scenario here, we
Sure.
win all 3 against Tampa
Yep.
Bay. That knocks Tampa out of the playoffs.
That probably would secure playoffs for us, and then at that point, it's all about seeding. But some of it depends on what Minnesota and KC
so
does.
even though we would be in the playoffs, of course would still much rather want to play Baltimore than.
But we'd at least be in. Period.
Right. I'd still want to play Baltimore more than
Houston.
Houston.
Yeah.
But if we were to sweep Tampa and win all 3, should we? At that point, of course, we're in the playoffs. I would just say, okay, we're ending the year with the White Sox. Let's if whatever happens with the seeding, but
For
we're in
sure.
the playoffs. Let's rest some guys. We play the Sox. That's like playing I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
no,
like
I mean-
playing a MAC team.
Well, it's like
and
I
that's-
was gonna say it's like playing us from a few years ago when we had like 100 whatever. We're talking about a 120 loss team right now. Or what are they? Yeah, I think they're like 120 losses.
I think they're
36 and 120. They are 36 and 120. So I mean, like, I'm not concerned about that
I'm
series.
sorry, but that's
Oh, yeah.
so
That series I'm
bad.
not concerned about. Tampa Bay, and here's something else to think about. Both of our series are at home. Tampa Bay against Detroit, this first game that's happening tomorrow, Tuesday. This first game, Tarek Skubal's on the mound. So Skubal's
good
on the mound
start
for
right
the first
there.
game. I'm happy. I think Reese Olson's going to be on the mound a little bit later. He's been performing a little bit better. So this Tampa Bay series is the series, though. This is the one I'm worried about.
And you know what? I don't get to watch the Tigers game tomorrow night.
Oh, no. That stinks.
I'll be here.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot. Thanks for taking that sacrifice for me, man.
Well, listen.
Thank you.
Listen.
Appreciate it.
If anybody's watching, no, I don't watch the Tigers while I'm trying to work.
That's
Maybe-
right.
maybe.
That's right. At least you can score watch. I'll text you. I'll keep you updated.
Well, if we were playing the White Sox, I wouldn't be worried as much.
yeah,
but,
that's true. But we got Scooble on the mound for this first one, so I'm excited.
But I would rest everybody if we win all 3 versus Tampa. I'd say, okay, we're playing the White Sox. If we have to play Houston, we're still we're a playoff team.
for sure.
man.
And you know what's kind of funny is a few months ago, if you would have asked me who I'd rather face, Houston or Baltimore, I would have told you Houston because Baltimore was the better team, and I didn't know what we'd look like against them. But we played so well against them that you're kind of like, all right, we were just at Camden Yards. We could go back to Camden Yards, and I just think it's a death sentence if you're going to Houston for 3 straight games. You never know what's going to happen.
in the playoffs,
it's scary.
they're even going to be banging trash cans against AJ Hinch, not with him this time.
Nuts.
Week 2 of the NFL. No, week 3 of the NFL happened.
Week 3, that's right.
I still have week 2.
I saw that. No. But week 3, man, that was a good week of football. A lot of surprising stories.
The Lions pulled one off against the Cardinals,
Good.
20-13.
Man, that game was a little crazy. But that play from we talked earlier, that Amon-Ra Gibbs play.
It was almost a no look too. It was.
Oh, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful play. That's what we've come to expect out of Ben Johnson, Dan Campbell.
And nobody. Was that a design play for him to pitch it back,
I
or
bet
was
you it
that
was.
just like Amon-Ra's going down? He wanted to keep the play alive.
I would love to hear about it, but that just looked like a play design. But that was still a great win against a really hot and hungry Cardinals team. It's
The Cardinals. I know they. The Cardinals are 1-2, but they
could easily be 3-0.
right because
With
I
how
thought
their
they should have
talent is.
beat Buffalo week 1.
Yeah. They could have, man.
It was close here against the Lions, and then they beat the living out of the Rams last week.
And that's why I'm not concerned about the Lions at all, them being 2-1. They're 2-1, but I'm not concerned about it all because we faced 3 good teams. You guys were impressive, but you guys did face the Titans. You were impressive, though. But it's one of those things where it's like I looked at like the competition. It's different. But speaking of that, I'm going to eat my words. Malik Willis did look great, man.
Thank
sorry.
you.
I'm sorry. He did.
Thank you.
He did. Now, it's against the Titans.
Right.
But he looked good. I think it was like a nice revenge game for him. Even if he's not saying revenge, you get cut or traded by a team, you're going to have revenge against them.
Here's
and
what
he played
happens
great.
when you get rid of me.
Yeah.
I end up taking over for Love.
Dude,
And
13 for 19, 202 yards, a touchdown, a rushing touchdown. I don't know if that also includes his rushing stats as well, but I mean, like that's a good game for that quarterback.
The Packers' defense was the big story.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was 8 sacks, actually. 8 sacks and 3 turnovers.
It's almost like
Xavier McKinney had another. That was a great pickup for the Packers.
Yeah,
Xavier
and I knew
McKinney
that too.
with Jair Alexander.
Well, that's
they
nasty.
both had a pick. Jair had his was a pick 6, and I don't remember who else caught a pick.
It's funny. It's almost like Tennessee is the worst offensive line in football now, especially after what we saw with Andy Dalton in Carolina.
I think they're the worst team in the league now that Andy Dalton's taken over Carolina.
The Red Rockets back, man. Unbelievable.
I know.
Unbelievable.
Good for him.
Good for him.
Because
I always liked Andy Dalton.
Going into fantasy this week, I was playing the new guy.
Yeah.
And I beat the new guy pretty good.
Did you see he traded me Derrick Henry, and did you see the game Derrick Henry had? That was the worst time for him to trade. I feel so sorry, Max. I feel so bad, but
I don't
that
feel
was a great
sorry.
trade. I know. Yeah, I bet.
I played him. I destroyed him. But because I knew Andy Dalton was starting, I knew right away the Panthers were going to be better. And I had Charbonnet last week because Kenneth Walker's still hurt. But this week I said, you know what, I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to pick up Chuba Hubbard. He gave me 26 points on fantasy. Lamar gave me 25.
Yeah, Lamar had a good game.
And I picked up the Packers defense, and they gave me 23 points.
That was a clutch pickup.
I had Young Ho.
As you always do.
Yep. I had to stick with my Ho on Sunday nights.
As you do.
Okay.
As you do.
And speaking of the Sunday night game, the Chiefs, I put it on here, Adam, because they got away with a win. Even Chris Collinsworth is the worst glazer of Patrick Mahomes. And even if Chris Collinsworth says the officiating was bad, that's how you know it was awful. And
they missed that play, but there was some...
The Kyle Pitts pass interference.
Yeah, that should have been PI.
And even the 2 flags on Kansas City after that on Atlanta's last drive were bad calls too. It was bad both ways.
There's some bad officiating this weekend as a whole as well. I'll just say there were some mistakes that were made in games that were very weird. I mean, it worked in the Lions' favor. Not to go on more about the Lions game, but it worked in the Lions' favor. But I don't know if you saw that 2-minute warning play where they snapped the ball. Jared Goff got picked.
And it was a pick 6.
It was a pick 6, but it got called back. Trust me, I was thrilled it got called back. But they snapped that ball.
Barely.
They snapped that ball with when they did slow motion, it was with 1 second left on the clock. It was 2-minute 1 second.
So the pick 6
it should have been counted. It should have counted, but they whistled too early.
I wasn't watching on TV right that second. I was listening to the game.
So that's it should. So there were some problems across the board, which these things will get addressed by the league office for sure.
Really quick here, a couple other NFL headlines. The Eagles' low-scoring win at New Orleans, 15-12. Derek Carr got shaken up at the end of the game. Green Bay plays at home against Minnesota on Sunday, and I hope Jordan Love comes back for this game as much as I love Malik Willis.
Got to get the win.
How is Sam Darnold doing this? Sam Darnold, 34-7 against the Texans.
I predicted this. I said he's not done in this league yet because he's so young and still very talented. And you put him with this team, man. He's
coming into
awesome.
the season, like when JJ got hurt, I was like, Sam Darnold's pathetic. There's no way that's gonna work.
He's the man. He's the man.
Even the Broncos had a good game. Bo Nix, 25-36. They beat Baker 26-7. The Steelers are 3-0 with Justin Fields as a backup. It's still crazy to say.
Crazy.
20-10 over Harbaugh and the Chargers. Of course, Chiefs got away with one at Atlanta, and Seattle rolled over Miami 24-3, and now Miami is on their 3rd string quarterback. Tim Boyle, former Packer.
Ugh.
Shout out Tim Boyle.
Ugh.
When we come back, we'll wrap up with a high school sports update. Welcome back here on JTV. I'm David Rice. Show today brought to you by the Insurance Circle Agency. I almost knocked over my mug there. That would have not been good on the last
Don't
segment.
do that. Yeah,
I know. We only have a few more minutes left. We're out of commercials. Quick high school sports update. We only have a couple minutes here. A lot of volleyball happened on Saturday. A lot of high school sports happened on Saturday. The big SAU Invitational happened. Western went right down the road and won defeating Hanover in the final. The Panthers went 6-0 in pool play. They defeated Hanover Northwest, Jackson High, and Springport. Concord went 6-0 in pool play. And Columbia went 3-3. Grass Lake went down to Onstead and finished second. Boys cross country, the Jackson Invitational. This was a huge event for cross country. At Ella Sharp. So Jackson High finished 31st place in Division 1. You might say 31st, doesn't that not seem very good? There were a ton of schools here. Division 2, Western finished 3rd, Grass Lake 6th, and Napoleon right behind in 7th. Lumen Christi won Division 3 and 4 in the boys for Jackson Invitational. The girls, Western finished 4th in Division 2. Lumen won the girls' division as well, Division 3-4. So for all of that and more photo galleries and other community events, jtv.tv online. And real quick here, we will be live Friday, week 5 of high school football at Napoleon, home of the Pirates. It's a little homecoming for me, for Dan Gallagher, and for Josh Burgett.
I'm excited to have to have Dan Gallagher in the booth for a Napoleon game at Napoleon. It's classic. So I'm excited, and you guys are gonna be crammed in that booth, but it will be a classic experience.
Well, the way Noah Baker put it is, as long as nobody goes down and has Mexican night at Aggies before, then we'll be all right. So.
Oh, goodness sakes!
And with that, thanks for watching, listening. Thanks to Adam and everybody else, our sponsors. We'll see you Wednesday.